Hello and welcome everybody to another Wednesday. My name is Karim and you're watching the Smrt English channel. If you can hear me as usual, please, if you guys can hear me, try to say yes in the chat box so that I know that everything is okay, right? And then we shall begin. All right, some people are saying that they can hear me, which is nice. All right, so great. So hello, everyone. One more time, welcome. It's another Wednesday. Today is January the 31st in the year 2018. And this is another Smrt English class with me, Karim. So I'm your teacher for today, and hopefully we'll have some fun. A lot of people are in the chat as usual. My usual suspects are there, of course. Rosa is in the chat. Hello, Rosa and Julian. Bisma is here, Jacqueline is here, Makawi. We also have, I think I saw Jose. Who else is in here today? We have Victor. Hello, Victor. Thank you for coming to the class. Garima is also here. Hello, Garima. Nahla is here. There's Saltine. Hello, Saltine. Richard. Hi, Richard. We have Judith from California. Hello, Judith, and welcome to the class. Thank you very much for coming. Anita is here. Hello, Anita. Rosa is here. Rosa is saying, I'm not Richard. Yeah, I know you're not Richard, Rosa. Who else is here? There's a lot of you guys in the chat today, which is always very nice. Samia is here. I haven't seen that name before. So hello, Samia. If you are a new student, welcome to the class, and thank you very much for coming. Quranic recitations. He says, I'm Murad from Morocco. Hello, Murad. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to the class. So thank you very much for coming. Who else do we have? We have Manal is here, but I'm not sure if she's going to be sticking around for today's lesson. Vengalarao from India. I'm sure I'm completely not saying your name right. But, oh, there you go. Sorry, Julian. Summer just got into the class, so Julian has has some competition again this week for movie quote of the week. So yeah, sorry, Julian. You know, Julian was very happy, Summer, that you were not here yet. He was saying, I have a chance to win today. But yeah, so you ruined that for him. So we'll see what happens today. Should be fun. Who else is there? There's a lot of people. Noor is here. Hello, Noor. Nice to see you again. Thank you very much for coming. Salau is here from Morocco also. Alan from Kurdistan. Ooh, from Kurdistan. Hi, Alan. Welcome, and thank you for coming to the class. Yenny Jorge is here. Oh, Jenny. Jenny. Okay. Hello, Jenny. Nice to have you here. Yeah, and who else is here? Abdurrahim. Lots of Sayyid Ali. Ooh, lots of new names that I haven't seen before, which is always very nice to see. Thank you guys for coming so much. And by the way, let me show you this. This is awesome. Let me just get out of the, let me become a bit smaller. There we go. And yeah, so let me show you this. I'm very excited about this. I'm very, very excited. So if you guys notice, the subscriber number says 100,000 subscribers. We did it, people. We actually broke 100,000 subscribers. I was looking at the number today in the morning, and I think it's 100,300 and something like that. So 100,300, 100,000 something. But yeah, we broke it. Yay, Summer is celebrating the chat. Woohoo! It's all because of you guys. You guys are fantastic. A virtual high five to everybody. We did it. Yeah, it's 100,000. I can't believe that we actually got 100,000. So we should be getting the silver button, I think, from YouTube anytime soon now. But I think Julian should bring it to the studio, right? So Julian should put it somewhere in the studio, so we can show it off to you guys. Yes, it is wonderful news, Rosa. I know. Thank you very, very much. Oh, everybody's saying congratulations. Thank you, guys. We could not have done it without all of you fantastic people out there. Believing in us and appreciating the things that we do here. So without you, we wouldn't have done it. So thank you so very much. Yeah, 100,000 subscribers. I can't believe it. So let's keep going. Next target, 500,000. Yeah, I know, right? It's pretty impressive. I'm actually very impressed. We got 100,000 finally. Yes. you guys are hilarious. But yeah, thank you. Seriously, thank you guys so much. All right, let me do my normal spiel. And if you don't know what the word spiel means, it's basically my intro that I have to do, right? The stuff that I say all the time. That's what we call, right? Macau says 1 million, not just half. Well, yes. Well, we're going in small baby steps, right? So first step is 100,000. Next step, 500,000, and then hopefully, yes, we'll hit 1 million subscribers, which will be amazing. I won't believe it if we get 1 million. I mean, I'll believe it, but I'll be shocked, right? I'll be very, very happy and very, very surprised. All right, so let's start, right? So you guys know this. You are watching me on the awesome Smrt English YouTube channel, and you can see right there 100,302 subscribers. Yeah, we did it. I'm so happy. I'm just happy today. It's cool. So that's where you're watching us, guys. Please don't forget, if you have not yet, hit the subscribe button, hit that small, cute looking bell thing so you guys know when our next classes are coming. As you can see here, right, it tells you when the next classes will be coming, right? And you can, of course, watch all the classes that we've done before from even teachers that were here before. And that's it. If you go down to the bottom of the Smrt page, you will find my face. Click on my face, and it will take you to my Smrt page, right? So my Smrt page is called, that is not my page. Where's my page? Oh, there's my page, right? So Smrt English with Karim, that's my Smrt sort of sub page under Smrt, where you can go and watch me do some extra things, right? So videos around Vancouver, some smaller videos, right? So they're not long like my classes. Usually they're about 1 minute or 2 minutes or something like that. And yeah, you can watch the videos over there too. If you don't know yet, I also have a personal channel on YouTube, and it's called Food AF, right? So this is not really English. It's not, I don't teach English, but I talk in English. So if you guys want to practice listening, and if you want to hear me talk in my natural way, not my teacher voice, you can go and hear me on that channel, right? And if you just like food, right? So if you like food, go watch me cook some, and hopefully you might learn also something over there. Last thing, or before last, Facebook. We have a group on Facebook. If you guys don't know about this yet, please come and join us over there. We have almost 25,000 people in the group. Really nice group. Everybody likes to help everybody out, and it's a nice community, right, where we all come together and talk. And this was today's video. Did you guys see the thumbnail in today's video? I look so horrible. Not this one. Where is it? When it's paused, I look, yeah, there's a very bad picture for me, but what can you do? Technology sometimes does things that it wants. And recently, the awesome people at Smrt, so Julian and Jeremy and all the cool people at Smrt, they created this awesome page for us, right? So this is a place called Discord, where you guys can come and join, and I think Julian posted the link for that in the chat somewhere. So yeah, you can come to here, join. As you can see, a lot of you have been starting to join in, and we're just trying to build a community, right? So we're trying to build a community where you guys can come, practice your English, chat. We even have some audio channels, so you guys can go in there and practice talking to each other, right, and listening to each other, and things like that. And we also put announcements, right, for things that we do on Smrt. So it might feel it's a bit slow now, just because we're still trying to get as many people to come in as possible. So please tell your friends. The more people that we have, the better it is for you guys, right? Because you will probably have a higher chance of finding somebody to chat with and to talk with when you need it, right? Karim, I will try. Actually, wait a second. The link is on the Facebook page. It should be right here. There it is. There's the link. Whoops. Let me just copy that for you. All right. So here's the link. I'll put it for you guys in the chat for those of you that are asking about it. And there it is, right? So just click on that. You'll go to Discord. You can create an account. It's absolutely free, and you can put it on your phone. So Android, iOS, whatever it is, right? So you guys can chat, talk, wherever you are, and stay connected. So yeah. So please come and join us over there. It's a pretty cool platform. It's really nice. So hopefully I will see you guys there. Oh, you're welcome, Summer. No problem, right? So just click on the link and it'll take you over there, register, make an account, and just join, right? It's very, very simple stuff. Okay, now, what are we doing this week? So I think I did what? I did 2 lessons with you guys so far on articles, right? So the first lesson was we talked about a and we talked about an. The second lesson we talked about the. today I'm still going to talk about articles because I talked about the main rules, right? I talked about most of the rules that people teach when we're talking about articles, you know, countable nouns, uncountable nouns, and then the vowel sounds, and when do we use a, when do we use an, the common mistakes that people make, and things like that. Today, I'm going to be talking about a lot, actually, of other other uses, right, for articles, right, that most people might not think of, or they might use it, but you never really thought that this is an article use, right? So we'll take a look at that. And yes, Julian and Summer, of course, are asking about movie quote of the week. And last week's movie quote was this. So remember, these are two people in a store, right, sitting behind the cashier area. And a customer walks in, and he sees a cat, so he asks them, "Cute cat, what's its name?" And then one of the clerks says, "Annoying customer," right? So the winner of a movie quote of the week for I think this was the what number was this, Summer? Was this 8? I think this was the 8th one. It's Clerks, right? So this is from a movie called Clerks. And let's sort it by the newest first. And as you guys can see, Summer, yep, that's it, number 8, complete, right? So Summer beat Julian again for the 8th week in a row. The undefeated champion of movie quote of the week is Summer. Summer is like scary good. I don't know how she always answers so fast, but she's really good at this. I don't think anybody's ever gonna beat Summer. So yeah, but anyway, your chance is today. So if you guys can beat Summer, please do so, right? So stick around to the end of the lesson today, and I'm going to give you guys the new movie quote of the week for this week. And it's a cool one. And what's it called? I have to do a voice today, right? Which is usually my favorite thing. That's my favorite quotes to do, right? Where I have to do a voice and everything, right? So today I have a very cool movie quote, and I have to make a special voice for it. So stick around till the end, and I will show you what that is. All right, let's begin. So today's lesson, I am predicting, is going to be a little bit long because there's a lot of stuff that we need to cover. So actually, I'm going to share with you guys the document that I'll be using today for explaining things. And let me just check that the sharing stuff is fine. Anyone with the link? Yep, that's fine. That's okay. So here's the link. Copy, and I will paste it in. Rosa says she likes it when I do voices. Yeah, I like it too. It's fun, right? I've been doing voices all my life, even as a kid, right? When I was a kid, I was a very bored child, so I would do voices with myself in front of the mirror, and yeah, that's how I had fun as a kid. All right, all right. So let's get into this. So all of you should have the document. This is the document that I'll be using for explanation today. Please don't be scared by the word advanced. It's just the word, right? But don't worry about that, right? I'm going to explain everything. Hopefully everything's going to be easy. You guys are going to get it, and you're going to have a good time, and you are going to walk away saying that this wasn't advanced. This was simple. So hopefully everything is going to be nice today, right? And actually, at the end of the lesson today, I will share with you a document that has all of the article stuff that I've been talking about, right? So if you've missed the first 2 classes, I'm going to share a document today that basically is going to give you all the documents that I shared over the last 2 classes, and it'll even have some links for more article stuff if you guys want to practice, right? So it'll be a very nice document that I'm going to share with you, and hopefully you guys like it. All right, let us begin. No, we're not talking about some, Julian. I'm still talking about just a, an, and the, right? The classic articles, right? The classic articles that most people teach, right? Some, any, and that sort of stuff usually is a separate lesson, right? That we talk about later. I might teach it in the future, right? So I might prepare a lesson for that and teach it sometime in the future. But for today, we are continuing some extra uses for a, an, and the. Makawi says, I like this word. Why should I be scared? Well, you know, Makawi, some people see advanced, they're like, oh my God, this is going to be complicated. But it's not, right? It's not going to be complicated, and we're going to have fun today, so don't worry. So here we go. Let's start. Let me take a swig of coffee. Do you guys know this expression? A swig of coffee. A swig, right? I'm going to take a swig. So this is a swig. That's it, right? A small mouthful of liquid, usually, right? We call this a swig. Not a sip, right? A sip is when you go like this. Like you sort of, people put their lips together and they go like that, right? That's a sip. A swig, you take more than a sip, right? So it's a little more than a sip, really. A swig. All right, so let us begin. So same as the last two article classes, I'm going to be, or this will be divided into uses, right? So different ways that we use the articles, and we're going to explain it. We're going to explain it that way, right? So let's start. You're welcome. I don't know what you're thanking me for, Layla, but you're very welcome. Anyway, you're welcome. I don't know why you're saying thank you. I didn't do anything yet, but yeah, you're very welcome. Gertrudis, you are not late. I actually just finished introducing everything and talking about some stuff, and I'm just about to start the lesson, right? So you came at a perfect time. All right, so let's start. So use number 12, right? So if you remember the last 2 weeks, we went up to use 11, so we're just continuing, basically. All right, here we go. So use number 12. And I think most of you actually know this use. But articles, a and an, right? And remember, from the last two classes, what do we call a and an? We call them the indefinite articles, right? Indefinite articles. Articles that we use when we are talking about things that are not specific, right? Things that the listener or the person that you're talking to or the reader don't know about, right? So a and an can be used instead, or just the same way that we use the word per, right? And what's per? What do we use per for? So for example, apples currently cost $1.30, right? Or $1.30 a pound, right? So what does that mean? All that means is apples cost, whoops, that's the wrong button. Sorry, you guys, I'm so sorry. I keep wanting to press the numbers on the numpad, but the numpad controls also things that happen in the screen, and I always forget that. So sorry about that. But let's get back to this, right? So apples currently cost $1.30 a pound, right? What does that mean? That means 1 pound of apples costs $1.30, right? That's basically what you're saying. A pound, that means for each one, whatever thing you're talking about, right? So a pound, that means for each 1 pound of apples. And of course, pound, because the American system uses the imperial system for counting things, which is pounds and ounces and things like that, right? But it really doesn't matter, right? So $1.30 a kilo, right? Same thing, right? It just means one of whatever it is measurement that you're talking about, right? So apples currently cost $1.30 a kilo, right? That means for each 1 kilo. Cheetahs can run 60 miles an hour, right? So it doesn't matter a or an. Remember, if you remember the last two lessons, so I'm gonna to hopefully not make today's lesson extra long, I don't want to talk about things that I've already talked about in the last two lessons, right? So I'm sorry, you guys, if you've missed the last two lessons on articles, please go back and watch them, and then everything that I'm saying today should make sense, right? 1 pound, not 1 kilogram. What do you mean, Judith? I'm not sure what you mean. Well, yeah, I mean, in many countries you would say a kilo, because that's the unit that most vendors sell their items for. But in North America, right, it's very common to see pound. Julian says a cheetah can run at, not an, Julian, at 60 miles per hour. Yeah, that's correct, right? But remember, Julian, a cheetah, right? Because the word cheetah, right? What's the first sound that you hear? It's a consonant sound, right? So a cheetah can run at 60 miles per hour. Yes, that means, yes, that's right. I mean, sorry. So that means a cheetah in 1 hour can run this much, right? Very good. You want $150 a person for the tour. You want $150 a person for the tour? That means for each person, each one person is going to pay, or it's going to cost for them $150. I'll answer that question at the end. The Borka, if you want, just try to ask me again at the end. I don't like to mix things or lessons when I'm talking about something, right? So let's just keep the questions for now related to the lesson, right? And I'll tell you any other stuff later. All right, so I think the first one is pretty simple, right? It's the same as per, right? So we use it to describe how much, right? Or how much, how fast, whatever it is really, but for 1 hour, for 1 kilogram, for one of anything that you're talking about, right? That's the main point. So that's it. That's use number 12, right? So a or an can be used like the word per, not the, only a and an. All right, let's carry on. Use number 13. We use the, right? So the definite article now, right? Not the indefinite articles. We use the with nouns modified by ranking or ordering expressions, right? So what do we mean by ranking or ordering expressions? It just means expressions that we use to show, right, or to communicate rank, right? Or to communicate or to show the order of something, right? So for example, the first, right? The first time I went to whatever, right? The first time I went to Spain, I was very impressed, right? The second, the third, the next, the last, the previous, right? The following. Well, it doesn't really matter, right? The penultimate. I'm taking this word out because it's nobody says this, right? I've never really heard anybody say that word. It's not very common, I would say, right? But you get the idea, right? So any kind of expression that shows ranking, right? Or any kind of expression that shows ordering, right? We say the first, the second, the last, the second to last, the previous day, the following week. It doesn't really matter, right? So for example, this is the 5th day of our conference, right? This is the 5th day of our conference. This is the 26th class that I stream live for Smrt, right? The 26th class, right? So it doesn't really matter what's the number or what is the rank, but we usually use it for those, right? Manel is saying the latter and the former. Yes, Manel, that's correct. Makawi is asking, it means before the last. What do you mean, Makawi? If you're asking about the second to last, when I said the second to last, then yes, it means the one just before the last. Yeah, that's it. All right, so that's it. If you understand what ranking means, right? If you understand what ordering means, that's the rule, right? To show ranking or ordering, we usually use the article the, right? Or we use the definite article the. Okay, number 14, right? Use 14. Use the, we also use the definite article the, with superlatives, right? So you guys, I'm hoping that you guys know what superlatives are. Superlatives are when we say, for example, things like the best, right? So just like here, right? So the best. Not comparatives, right? Comparatives is when we do what? Is when you're saying something is bigger than that, right? When you're comparing two things. But superlatives is what? Superlatives is when you're saying something is the most, right? Or whatever it is. So for example, the best, the biggest, the tallest. It's not just taller than something else. No, nothing is taller than it, right? Or of course, it depends on what you're talking about. If I'm talking about 3 buildings and I'm saying, oh, this building is the tallest, well, then it doesn't mean the tallest in the world. It just means the tallest from the group of things that I'm talking about, right? Or in the world, right? It depends on what you're saying, but it doesn't really matter. If you're saying a superlative, we always say the, right? So the best, the biggest, the most important, the least interesting, The Thank you, Julian. I appreciate that very much. The most, the greatest, the smallest. Yes, all of you are giving me very, very good examples. Yeah, very good. That's great. Okay, carrying on. Now, this point, some students get confused by this, right? But hopefully, I'll try to explain it, and hopefully we will not have any confusions today. So what did I just say? I said we use the when we're talking about superlatives, but not comparatives, right? I just said that about a minute ago, right? Well, now I'm going to contradict myself just a little bit, right? But there's a specific point that makes this rule, or makes the exception for the rule, right? So let's take a look at that. So normally, right, I just said we use it for superlatives, right? So for example, this is the biggest day ever. That is the most expensive hotel room I've ever heard of in my life. He told the funniest joke, right? So that's normal so far, right? This follows what I just said. Now let's pay attention here, right? It says what? It says comparative forms such as bigger, right? So not superlatives now, we're talking about comparatives, right? So bigger or better or more. Sometimes we can use them with a or an and the and follow general article use, right? So for example, I like the bigger roller coaster, right? He has a more expensive car than I do, right? Now, why did I say the here when I did not use a superlative, right? I didn't say a superlative, but I still used the. Well, basically, this is the explanation, right? So this is the rule. The is often used with comparative forms, right? Not superlatives like we first said. Sometimes we use it with comparative forms rather than superlative forms when comparing only two things, right? So when you're talking with somebody about two things and they know now what those two things are, right? So it's very specific now. And you want to choose from one of them, then you can, right? So let's take a look at an example, right? I know when I'm explaining, usually the words don't make a lot of sense, but let's take a look at examples. So Jesse and Shauna are both smart, right? So what happened now? I introduced, right? So again, if you don't know what I'm saying, please go back and watch the other two lessons and you should know what I mean by introduced, right? So Jesse and Shauna are both smart, right? So my first sentence, what did I do? I introduced to the listener, to the person that I'm talking to, Jesse and Shauna, right? What? Karim is the coolest master on Smart English. Master. That's a very what's it called? It's a very high designation. Master. I am not a master, Jose, but thank you for the sentiment, right? Just call me Karim and it should be fine. No worries with that. All right, so back to the example, right? So Jesse and Shauna are both smart. So I introduced Jesse and Shauna to the listener. The listener now knows, right, that I'm talking about Jesse and Shauna. Now look at the next sentence. But I think Shauna is the smarter of the two, right? So because I introduced Jesse and Shauna, and I'm only talking about Jesse and Shauna right now, right? So I said both of them are something, but I want to focus on one of them as being more than the other person in whatever that something is. So in this case, the something is smart, right? So I'm telling you, Jesse and Shauna, both of them are smart, right? So Jesse is smart, Shauna is smart, but I want to focus a little more on one of them, right? So what am I going to say? But I think Shauna is the smarter of the two, right? Is the smarter of the two. And it says here, this is commonly used in phrases such as the bigger of the two, right? So it's very common when you say that structure, right? That phrase, blah, 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 of the two, right? So between, let's look at another example. Between Jason's son and his daughter. So now what did I do? I made it clear to the listener, right? I made it clear to the person that I'm talking to that, hey, I'm going to be talking about Jason's son and his daughter, right? So I put my two specific nouns now. I made them specific. So between Jason's son and his daughter is the better athlete. Better than who, right? Than his son and his daughter, right? So that's it. I hope that that's not too complicated for you guys, right? So in general, we always use the with superlatives, right? Always. Unless you are in a situation where you introduce two nouns and you want to highlight one of them as more than the other, right? Or less than the other, whatever the comparative is, right? Then you can use the in this case, right? Of the two, right? Between Jason and Betty, Jason is the more creative person, right? Whatever it is, right? When you're talking about two specific nouns, but you want to specify one of them. Yes, Leisha, that is correct. Leisha is asking, we use the when the person you are speaking to knows what you are talking about. Yes, when they know the noun that you are talking about. That's correct. Oh, Dalia has a good example. Dalia says, I saw two flats, but I like the bigger one. Yes, that's a good way to use the with a comparative form, right? So I hope that that point is clear for you guys and nobody is confused. Can we say she's the smartest? Not if you're comparing, Zaid, right? Because if you're comparing, you have to use the comparative, right? So yeah, not if you're comparing. Yes, it is just like when you are doing a comparison, right? But a comparison between two specific nouns that the listener now knows about, right? Then yes, we use it like that. Okay, let's carry on. Use number 15. Use number 15 should be very logical, right? If you guys understood my first lesson on the articles, if you understood my second lesson on the articles, then use number 15 is just common sense, right? We do not use articles when generalizing about uncountable nouns and plural countable nouns, right? One more time. We don't use articles when you are talking in general about uncountable nouns, right? And plural countable nouns, right? So for example, curiosity is a great trait. So curiosity is uncountable, so I can't really use any article in front of it, right? So curiosity is a great trait, right? And I'm talking about the idea, the concept of curiosity, right? So it's very general and it's uncountable. So I can't really use an article here. Yes, Alan. Yes, when we're talking about things in general, that's correct. Rashid is asking if I can change the live schedule. I'm sorry, Rashid, I really can't. This is the only slot in my week that I'm free, that I have time to come and do this. And actually, I arranged my schedule because my work wanted me actually to do a lot more things than I'm doing, but I made sure that it did not affect my my live streaming schedule, right? Because I actually enjoy doing the stream and I don't want to stop, right? So if they don't let me do it at this time, then I can't do it at all, right? So I'm sorry if my schedule doesn't fit your schedule. That's what happens when we are in different countries. I know that I'm not going to be perfect for everyone's schedule, right? So some people it's okay for them. Some people the schedule is going to be really late or really early. I understand, but I can't help it right now, right? Right now, this is the only time slot that I have that's free. All right. So remember, one more time, when we're talking about general nouns, they are uncountable and they're plural countable nouns, then we don't use articles, right? So curiosity is a great trait. Water is an important resource, right? Vegetables are good for you, right? So vegetables are countable, but they are plural. So in this sentence, I'm not talking about a specific vegetable. I'm talking about, again, the idea, right? The concept of vegetables in general, any vegetable. I'm talking about vegetables in general, right? Are good for you. So that's what we mean. That's it, right? So this rule is not strange, really, if you understood the first two classes I talked about articles. It should be pretty straightforward. And like I said, if you missed the first two classes, you can watch them, and at the end of the lesson today, I'm going to share a document that has all the documents that I've talked about regarding articles. Boom, 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 boom. The classes that that Karim does, that the classes that Karim do, is a journey. A journey, Julian. Remember, journey, right? What's the sound? First sound is a consonant sound, right? So is a journey. I am not planning to, Judith, don't worry. Judith is saying, please don't stop the live classes. I'm not planning to, right? So don't worry, don't worry. I'm protecting my 3 o'clock spot on Wednesday, right? I'm not letting anybody give me any classes at college or at the school, because I keep it free so I can come and do this class, right? So don't worry. I don't plan on stopping the stream. I enjoy it and I have fun here every Wednesday. So don't worry about that. All right, carrying on. Use number 16. And Julian, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean my classes are a journey? It sounds very very poetic, but I don't understand the meaning. If that's true, Smrt says, if I stop the classes, I'm going to break her streak, her winning streak. Yeah, definitely. That's very logical, Smrt. Arij is asking, is it heart or the heart? Well, it depends on what you're saying, Arij, really, right? Yeah, it depends on the sentence. Both of them, you can use both, but it really depends on your sentence and what you're saying. But it might become clearer, right? The more let's just get through today's lesson, and you might see some things that fit your question. All right, so use number 16. English speakers often use the plus a singular noun when they talk about or make generalizations about certain topics, right? Now, why is this strange? Because what did we say? We said we use a or an normally, right, with singular countable nouns, right? We also use the, but when do we use the? Most of the time. Some people use it with things like this, right? So musical instruments, it's very common, right? So some people will say, for example, you might ask somebody, hey, what are some of your hobbies, right? And somebody would say, oh, well, I play the piano, right? Now, he's not talking about a specific piano, but that's how we use it, right? So remember, right? It's when we talk about or we make generalizations about certain topics, right? So these are some of the certain topics, right? So to help you guys get what we're talking about, right? So it's very common for musical instruments to say the piano, which means I'm talking about pianos in general, not just a specific piano or my piano or something like that, right? So I play the piano, or I play piano, right? So you actually can say it both ways, right? So you can say I play piano, and it means piano just in general, or I play the piano, right? So again, in general. The guitar, the flute, right? All these things are pretty common. A lot of musical instruments, it's okay to say the with. We also use the when we're talking about a lot of plants, right? So a lot of plants, when we want to talk about it, again, remember, we're not being specific. That's the whole point why we say use. This is a new use, right? Because we are not being specific. It's generalizations, right? So the coconut palm tree, right? I don't even know how to pronounce these two words. I guess it's a species of tree, right? The saguaro, the baobab. They sound like weird words, but yeah, right. So in general, right, when you're talking about trees or plants or things like that. We also it's very common for animals. So actually, if you guys watch a lot of National Geographic, or if you guys watch a lot of Animal Planet videos, or any documentary about wildlife or animals or things like that, this is actually a very common thing that you would hear, right? So you might hear the narrator saying something like, in its natural habitat, the leopard is a fearsome beast. Right? So again, they're not talking about the leopard that you are looking at right now on the screen. They mean in general, right? Any leopard, really, right? So it's a very common way to talk about these things. What? Some of you are saying it's saurao without the G. Oh, is it? Is it without the G? Let's see. Is it, oh, there you go. It's with the G. Maybe it's without the G in your language. But so there you go. This is a saguaro tree. It's a type of cactus. I did not know that. So there you go. I learned something new today. All right, let's get back to it, right? It's also very common with inventions, right? So same idea, same concept as all the points before it, right? It doesn't really matter. We're just telling you the different things that we use it for, right? So musical instruments, plants, animals, inventions. The steam engine was invented in 19 or 18, blah, 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 right? So again, I'm not talking about a specific steam engine or train. I mean in general, right? Currencies, very common with currencies, right? So for example, you might hear this in the news. The dollar today rose by, I don't know how many points, right? Or the yen today faced some difficulties in the stock market, or whatever you want to say, right? The point is we use it for also currencies and for body parts, right? So Samar, I think, or somebody, Arij, was it Arij, I think, that was asking about the heart. So there you go, for body parts, right? So you can say the heart is a very important organ in human beings, right? The heart, right? Again, we're talking about hearts in general, right? So these are some of the things that it's very, very common for us to use the in front of those types of nouns. And the meaning is we're talking about it in general, right? And you have some example sentences over here, right? So I play the piano, right? In general. The sequoia tree is native to California, right? The sequoia tree. Any sequoia tree, right? So in general. The dolphin is a very intelligent animal, right? So dolphins in general. It's like you're saying dolphins in general are very intelligent animals. This is another way to say it, right? The dolphin. Again, you're meaning in general. The Wright brothers invented the airplane. There you go. The Wright brothers invented the airplane, right? Again, we're not talking about that specific airplane that they invented. We're talking about the idea, right? The concept of the airplane, right? Right now, the euro is stronger than the dollar, and Cheryl got poked in the eye. I don't know why she got poked in the eye, but that's the example. Julian is asking, the stream ended. No, Julian, I think you might have a technical problem from your side. So let me just type that in for Julian. No, Julian, you need to refresh, maybe. So there you go. All right, so I hope that was clear. Right, and here's another explanation, right? So in general, English speakers choose to use the in this way. Why? To give the noun a more abstract, right, or a conceptual sound. Like, so it's basically just, it's a fancy way of speaking, right, if you want to think of it that way, right? You're trying to sound like you're talking about the concept, right, in general. So that's just another way that we do it, right? So like they said here, for example, we choose to say the piano to make it sound more like an abstract art form. Or the dolphin. It sounds more like you are talking about the species, right? The species of dolphin instead of just like the animal or the one dolphin or the whatever. Julian is back. Manel says you're trying to talk like the queen. What do you mean I'm trying to talk like the queen? Oh, when I was making fun of that documentary, my documentary sound. Yeah, I was trying to copy David Attenborough. If you guys, Attenborough, is that how you pronounce it? I think that's how you pronounce his name. Anyway, David Attenborough is a very famous narrator on a lot of documentaries. His voice is very unique, and yeah, he talks in a very specific way. So that's that's what I was trying to do. All right, let's carry on. Use number 17. The expressions a few and a little mean some, and express the idea that you have more than expected, right? So let's focus here a little bit because we're gonna say some things and then say some opposite things, and so I don't want you guys to get confused, and I don't want you to lose me on these points. Sayed, hello Sayed, welcome to the class. Thank you for coming. Boom, 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 boom. So here we go, right? So use 17, right? One more time. The expressions a few, right? So when we say a few, and when we say a little, what do we mean by that? We mean some, right? But it doesn't mean I don't have enough. right? Depending obviously on the context and what you guys are talking about, right? So for example, right, he always carries a few dollars for emergencies, right? So yeah, so it's a little, right? I have some, but it's enough for something, right? He had a little difficulty with his homework, right? Again, not too much here, right? And not enough to the point that I can't do it, right? She has a few friends who can help her move. Now, let me give you another example just to put the context a little, to make or let me give you a different context, right? Just to make it very, very clear. Let's say, for example, you pass by my office and you say to me, "Hey, Karim, do you wanna go grab a coffee, right? Do you wanna go get some coffee?" And I'll say, "Hold on, let me check. Yeah, I have a few dollars. Let's go, right? I have a few dollars." So I'm not telling you that I have a lot of money on me, right? I have a little money, but it's enough for the coffee, right? So let's go, right? So yeah, sure, I have a few dollars in my pocket. Let's go, right? So not too much, but it's enough for whatever it is that we are talking about, right? So I hope that is clear. Somebody's asking about the document. 1 second, and I'll share it with you guys. Yes, sure, here it is, right? So I'll paste the link for the document in the chat, and you guys can download from there. So I hope that's clear, right? So remember, a few. Yes, I have a few dollars. Let's go, right? That means I don't have too much. I have a little, but it's enough, right, for the coffee in this scenario, because that's the context, right? Now, however, so this is the part where I want you guys to pay attention now, right? However, the expressions few, notice just few without the articles, right? Not a few, just few, right? The expressions few and little without an article mean not much and express the idea that you have less than expected. So again, let's go back to the exact same scenario, right? Imagine one of my friends or a colleague or whatever, they come to my class, or they come to my office, they knock on the door. "Hey, Karim, what are you doing? Are you free? Do you want to go get a coffee?" Right? And this time, instead of saying, "Yeah, sure, I have a few dollars in my pocket," this time I'm going to say, "Unfortunately, I can't. I have little money, so I can't," right? So that's the difference, right? Without the article, it means few and little mean that it's not enough, right? If you say it with the article, then it means that it's enough. Now, I'm going to add one more thing, so please don't lose me here. This is where most people get confused a little bit, right? So I'm going to add one more rule now. Where did we go, right? But remember, when the words only or just are used, a few and a little also become not enough, right? So this is, let me put it here, right? So let's do it in a simplified way with not too many words on the screen, so you guys get what I'm saying, right? Okay, so what did we say in the beginning? We said a few, right? And whoa, that's not what I'm typing. And a little, right? A few, a little. That means not much, but enough, right? So not much, but enough, right? So remember my example about the coffee, right? Let's go for coffee. Sure, I have a few dollars. Let's go, right? So that's okay. Not much, but enough. If I say few and little, and let's copy the same stuff here. If I say few and little without the article, right? There's no article now. This is the difference, right? There's no article. It means same thing, not much, and it is not enough for whatever it is, right? So always remember my coffee example, right? Now, what was the other third thing that we added now? What's the third rule? What did we say? We said when the words only or just are used with a few, Now you change the meaning, right? So where is it? So let me put it here. So if I say only, right, a few, or just, right? So only or just. My keyboard is not responding to me. There we go. Only or just. A few, or only or just. A little. Now, what's the meaning? It means the same as this one, right? So it becomes the same as the other one, right? So just remember it this way, right? So remember that these two, actually let me put them together so that you can see that they are the same, right? So these two are the same, right? So only a few, only a few and only a little, it means the same as the bottom one, right? So I'm just going to copy this and put it up there. Boom, boom, right? So that's it. So a few, a little, not much, but enough. Only a few, only a little, just a few, just a little. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I have just a few dollars in my pocket today. Not enough for a cup of coffee, man. Maybe tomorrow, right? So these two mean the same, right? I really, really hope that that is clear and it wasn't confusing for you guys. So only is used to emphasize the meaning. Yes, when you put only, you're really focusing now on saying that it actually is a little, right? And it's so little that it's not enough, right? All right, let's carry on. So here are some examples, right? Unfortunately, I only, right? Because he's saying only had, and he's using an article with little, right? So unfortunately, I only had a little time to enjoy New York because I had to work so much, right? So here, what does it mean? It means it wasn't enough, right? I only had a little time, right? So it was little and not enough, right? Sadly, he just has a few people in his life. Again, just or only, if you're using it with few or little, with an article, same meaning. It means it's not enough, right? They only have a little money, so their daughter cannot pay her tuition, right? They only have a little money, right? So her daughter cannot pay her tuition. And that's it. So I hope you guys get that, right? I hope you guys understand. Julian says, I only have one arm. No, you don't. I've seen both your arms, Julian. And you can't use that excuse today, Julian, with summer, by the way, because I know that you removed the stitches from your arms. So you can't use that excuse today. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, all right, people are saying that they got it. Great. Let's carry on. Use number 18. What does it say? Generally, articles are not used with the names of illnesses or diseases, right? So there you go. It's a very nice, very simple, easy to understand rule, right? Generally, unfortunately, of course, in English, nothing is 100%. We have exceptions for everything in the world. We have exceptions for every rule almost in English. But as clear as water, is it the correct expression? I understand what you're saying, but no, that's not the correct expression, Lisha. I would say it's clear as crystal, right? So in English, we say clear as crystal. Even though what you're saying makes sense, right? Water is, or at least clean water, is pretty clear. So I know what you meant. But in English, we say clear as crystal. Or you can just say crystal clear, right? It's crystal clear. All right, use number 18. Generally, articles, one more time, right? In general, that doesn't mean it's 100% correct all the time, right? But most of the diseases, right? So generally, articles are not used with the name of illnesses or diseases. So for example, Dr. Smith visits schools and universities to educate students on AIDS, right? So again, so the name of a disease or an illness. Oncologists are doctors who specialize in treating cancer, right? So if anybody here has any, if anybody here is a House fan, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about or not. It's a show on TV, right? So it's called House. It's about this very arrogant, pretentious doctor, but it's actually pretty cool. I like the show. So if anybody watches the show House, his best friend in the show, whose name I can't remember right now, I don't know why. Where is it? Oh, they didn't even put a picture of that guy here. But anyway, his best friend in the show, that's what he does, right? So his best friend is an oncologist, right? It's a doctor who specializes in treating cancer. JB says, I have watched House and I dislike the actor. Really? That's the reason why I like House. I love the actor. Maybe he's acting so well that you hate the character that he's making, because he's actually a pretty good actor, that guy. And believe it or not, he used to do comedy, right? So yeah, very different, very, very different from the super intense drama that he's in House. Manal says, I prefer Scrubs. Scrubs is awesome. I love Scrubs. Scrubs is one of my favorite shows ever. I love that show. It's if you guys don't know Scrubs, you should watch it. It's a really, really funny show, and it's really, really cool. It's called Scrubs. So yeah, this show, right? And Scrubs, by the way, actually is this, right? So the what's it called? The uniform that most doctors wear. They call it scrubs, right? That's why the show is called Scrubs, right? Because it's about doctors, right, and people working in a hospital and stuff. All right, last example. There are several medications that can be used to treat malaria, right? So there are several medications that can be used to treat malaria, right? So just remember that in general, most illnesses and most diseases, we don't use any articles with them. However, because English has exceptions for everything, however, there are some illnesses which require the, right? So for example, it's very common to say the measles, right? The measles, it's that disease that usually kids get it, right, when they're in school. And it's a very contagious disease, right? Disease. That means if you never had it before in your life and you are next to somebody who has it, there's a very, very high chance that you're going to get it, right? So it's usually these spots, right, that appear everywhere on your body. And it's a very annoying disease. But yeah, right? So the measles, the flu, right? The flu is a very common thing to say. The mumps, all those types of stuff, right? So some things we use the article the. And of course, again, because English is English, there are a few health conditions or illnesses which can be used with both a and the. Why? Just because English is English. Just because. In English, there's a thing that people say, right? When you're trying to explain the reason for something, and the reason is not really a real reason, it's just the way it is. So a very common phrase to say is, we say, and this is how we do this. Why? Because. So you say because, and then you pause, and then you say reasons. Because reasons, right? Whatever they are, there are reasons, right? Because reasons. That's a slang way of talking, right? That's supposed to be funny. All right, so here are some examples, right? So a cold, a heart attack, a stroke. So John has a cold. The cold was pretty bad, right? So again, we use it for some with some words. Both of them work, but we follow the normal rules that we talked about, right? So if you guys followed the last two lessons, what did we do here? I introduced cold in the first sentence, which is why I said and now I'm talking about the cold again, the same cold that I was talking about. So we say the every single time we say it after that. My 3-year-old niece just says because and nothing else. Well, yeah, that's a classic, because. Every language has exceptions. Yes, definitely, Jism. Every language has exceptions. There is no way around that. All right, so I hope that one was clear, right? So this is just more practice, right? The more names of things like that you will hear, you will know how to use these things, right? So, yeah. All right, use number 19. If a direction, right? So when we say direction or direction, whatever way that you want to pronounce this word, what do I mean by that? I mean when we're talking about north, west, south, and east, right? So from your perspective, that's what? The north, south, and this would be west for you guys, and east, right? So if a direction directly follows a verb, right? That means one of these words comes right after a verb, then we don't use an article with the direction, right? So for example, hey, I don't understand this map. Which way do we need to go? Oh, I think we need to go south, right? So notice, what did I say? I think we need to go. So go is my verb, and I said south right after the verb, right? So that's how we say that, right? We don't need to use an article in this situation, right? So they drove north all day, right? We've been driving east for the last 5 hours, right? It really doesn't matter as long as it comes after a verb, right? If it comes after a verb, then we don't have to. Judith says, my husband has. My husband has. Actually, I would just say my husband's got the measles when he was 26 years old, and because of not being able, I'm trying to break down your sentence, Judith. 1 second. All right. My husband got measles, or my husband got the measles when he was 26 years old, and because of that, and because of not being able to shave himself. Yes, that's true. When you have the measles, you can't shave, right? Because you have these spots everywhere, even on your head, under your hair, and everything. And so she's saying because he couldn't shave himself, the beard remained for the rest of his life. That's maybe he's using that as an excuse, but that's a good excuse. I like that. Yeah, my beard is starting to become a beast. I really need to shave this week. That's enough laziness. So hopefully by next class, I'll look presentable again. We are heading south. That's a good sentence. Arij, yes. We are heading south. XXX fiction. That is true. What is that? XX fiction. Ooh, you are a Naruto fan. I like. Very good. I was commenting on his thumbnail, right? He has a character from a Japanese anime called Naruto. Rashid, hello Rashid, welcome to the class. You are somewhere in the middle of the class, but thank you for coming anyway. The birds immigrate south, right? Because immigrate is your verb here, Hamuz, right? So be careful. The birds immigrate, right? And you're talking about birds in general, so you cannot use the article the, right? It needs to be birds immigrate south every year, right? Remember, if it comes after a verb, you don't need an article, right? Or a preposition or anything, right? Travel north, walk south. Yes. Oh, JB. Hello, JB. Thanks for coming, man. All right, here we go. However, if a direction follows a preposition, then you must use the, right? So, who had the sentence here? Hamuz, I think, right? So he said birds immigrate to south every year, and I told him that wasn't correct, right? Because you can't, after the verb, just say south. But he wanted to use the preposition to, right? So in your sentence, Hamuz, you would have said birds immigrate to the south, right? Every year. So just like here, right? So that's the exception, right? So if a direction follows a preposition, then you must use the, right? Only the. So for example, we need to walk to the south. Our house is in the north, right? So to, right? Your preposition here. That's why we said the south after it. In, that's your preposition. That's why we said the north, right? The grocery store is on, right? That's your preposition. That's why we say on the right, right? He drove off to the south. Yeah, that's correct. If it's a preposition, then you have to say the after it. The Himalayas are, because the Himalayas are a group of mountains, right? It's not just one mountain. So the Himalayas are, not is. The Himalayas are in the north. Yes, that is fine. That is correct. All right, adding some more information. Moreover, we use the with compass directions when referring to them as special or geographic or cultural regions. So what do we mean by this, right? Let's take a look. Examples. We love the South. So, for example, let's imagine that all of us live in the United States right now, right? So it's very common in the United States to say something like this, right? I love food from the South, right? I really love food from the South. So what do I mean? I'm not talking about the direction now, right? Although it is in the South, right? If you're talking about direction, but that's not the meaning that I'm saying, right? What am I saying? I'm talking about a region now, right? I'm talking about a specific area. So even people in America, they call this area the South, right? So it's not a specific, you're not focusing on the direction that you're moving, you're focusing on the area. You're trying to explain to me the people from here, right? So we love the South. Have you ever visited the East? I don't mean any East direction, right? So the East, if you're in America again, right? So have you been to the East Coast, right? So that means the East Coast, right? The areas near the coast on the East, right? So have you been to the East? That means most of the states in the East. Have you been to the West? Have you been anywhere in the West? That means in the West area, the region, right? The geographical location. Yes, right? So some of you are saying we're talking about the region. Yes, very good. That's exactly what I mean. Julian, was my sentence correct? Where is your sentence, Julian? The movie quotes give knowledge. The movie quotes give knowledge to undiscovered movies. Yes, but I would say it's unusual, right? So I would say something, for example, like the movie quotes let us know about new movies, right? Or the movie quotes help us discover new movies, right? Or unknown movies, or whatever, something like that. But yeah. Okay, right? So I hope you guys get this, right? The last part here, all we mean is we're not talking about the direction. We're talking about a specific area, right? A region, right? Think of it like that. Have you traveled up north? Yeah, that's a very good sentence, Manal. Have you traveled the up? No, no, it's have you traveled up north? Have you traveled up north? Because of your preposition, right? So because you said up, I would say north is your first sentence is correct, or I would say have you traveled up to the north, right? So to preposition and then say the north. Up to the, yeah, there you go, just like Karim said. Yeah, very good. You mean the area. Yes, Summer, that's what I mean, right? I mean the area. Very good. All right, carrying on. Use number 20. How many uses are here? I told you today's lesson is going to be a little bit long, but it's a lot of little pieces of information, right? And I just wanted to share a complete articles lesson with you guys. So bear with me, but we'll go fast. All right. So use number 20. The can be used with plural family names to refer to the family as a group, right? So this is very common, right? So for example, you would say the Robinsons love to love to vacation in Florida, right? The Robinsons. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean people from the Robinson family, right? Now, please, I want to explain something. And I want you to notice, right? So my name, for example, right? My name is Karim Saleh, right? So my family name is Saleh, right? That's my family name. Let's make it big. Where is it? Clear formatting. There we go. All right. So my family name is Saleh, right? But let's say, for example, someone, right, is coming to visit me, but not just me, right? They're not just coming to see me, Karim Saleh. They're coming to visit me and my family, right? It's like a family visiting another family, right? Or one person going to visit an entire family, right? Or a part of the family, right? So you would say something like, I will see, or I will visit, or whatever it is, right? I will see the Salihs next week, right? So this is how you say it, right? We say the, and then you make the family plural, right? Notice we made it plural by adding an S here, right? Right? Actually, I don't like that. Let's make it text, yeah. Right? By adding an S. Man, it's not doing what I want. I don't want this color. I want this one. Yes, there we go, right? So I will see the Salihs next week. Now, what does that mean? You're going to see the Salih family as a group, right? You're talking about the Salih family as a group. You're not just talking about one person in the family. You're talking about the family itself, the family unit, right? The family as a group. So that's it. That's basically what this point is talking about. So when you say the Robinsons, the family name is not Robinsons with an S. The actual name is just Robinson, right? So let's say, for example, in this family you have John and Mary, right? And I don't know, George, right? So their names actually are John Robinson, just without the S. But because you're going to go visit the family as a group, right? You want to express that I'm going to see this family, right? The unit, not just one person. Then we make it plural, right? And we add the, right, at the beginning. The Robinsons, that means the family as a group, right? Not just one person or two, love to vacation in Florida. The Senoharas, very hard name to say, are originally from Japan, right? Oh, the Shinoharas, right? So that means the original name is Shinohara, right? That's the actual name, Shinohara. But if you're going to go visit the family group, you would say the Shinoharas are originally from Japan. And that's it, right? So my brother lives next to the Jacksons, right? So that means the family name is Jackson, but because you're telling me you're going to go see the family as a group, you're talking about the family as a group, then we say the Jacksons, right? That means the Jackson family, right? Think of it as a way of saying the blah, blah, blah family, right? The Saleh family, the Jackson family, whatever, right? We do it like this. We say the, and we add an S to the surname. And that's it. That's really that point, right? Okay, use number 21. The can be combined with certain adjectives to refer to a group of people such as the blind, right? So if you want to talk about a group of people in general, right? So the blind, the elderly, the rich, the French, the Sioux, right? So for example, just to make it clear, excuse me guys, sorry. Just to make it clear, we can say he is elderly. Now, elderly here means what? It's just a regular adjective. I'm describing this man, right? He is elderly. He's old, right? Now, the organization helps my company, my organization, right? This charity, whatever you're talking about, helps the elderly. Now, when I say the elderly, right? So the plus an adjective, now I'm talking about what? I just mean old people, right? I mean elderly people. Now, elderly is not just an adjective for one person. It's the group of people, right? That's basically what it means, right? So some more examples. I like French. Now, when you say I like French, French is what? It's the language, right? That's what it is. Now, notice what happens if I say the French. I like the French. Now, I'm not talking about the language. I'm talking about the French people, right? As a group, right? French people in general. So I hope that makes sense to you guys, right? Yes, there we go, right? The homeless, for example, Rosa. Yes, the homeless, that means you're talking about homeless people in general, right? The French, it means the people. Yes, just like you guys are saying in the chat. Very good. You are referring to talking about the group. Yes, JB, that's exactly correct, right? The poor, the rich, the strong, the healthy. Yes, very good. All right, so I think this point is pretty easy, right? Let's go to the next. The poor, Sresh, not the poorly. Yeah, the poor. All right, now, however, when generalizing about nationalities or ethnic groups that have A and S at the end, for example, words like Americans, Mexicans, Hawaiians, Egyptians, right? Anything like that, then we don't say the, right? We don't say the Americans watch a lot of TV. It just sounds weird, right? It doesn't sound correct, right? So we don't say that, right? So just remember, the French means, yes, the French people, but I can't say the Americans, right? So any word that has A N S, right? Any nationality that has A N S at the end, we don't use the with it, right? So that's it. I hope that is, I think that's pretty simple, right? Boom, 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 boom. Gupta's asking why, because that's the rule. that's the rule. That's why. Because it's a rule. I don't know what to tell you guys, right? That's why I'm going over rules. These are rules, right, that I'm sharing with you guys, right? All right, let's carry on. Use number 22. We do not use the with the names of most countries unless the name contains a word such as states, kingdom, republic, Emirates, union, coast, and there's a lot of other examples, right? So I also like to explain it in a different way. I usually explain it in a different way to my students, just in case you don't remember these words, because you have to remember these words, right? So anytime you see any of these words, well, you can't say the. But if you have a hard time remembering the words, I like to explain it in a different way, right? So always say to yourself, think about the country's name, right? Is the country's name just a name, like just one name that doesn't really mean anything? Or is the country's name a group of words that describe, right? The name of the country is actually describing something about the country, right? It's describing maybe how the country was created, right? Or how the country's rule of law is, right? Or what kind of government is in the country, right? So if it's a description about something in the country, then we say the, right? So for example, let's say, let's take these words here, right? So Italy, right? So Italy is what? Italy is just a singular name that doesn't really explain anything, right? When you hear the word Italy, it's not describing something about the country, right? So that's the rule, right? So we don't need the. That's why we say I love Italy. I'm going to Italy, right? We never say the Italy. John used to live in Japan. I love Japan. I've been to Japan, right? Whatever it is that you say, right? Because Japan just means one thing, it doesn't really describe anything, or trying to describe, right, using more than one word, what the country is, we don't use the. Now, let's take a look at the last one, right? The United States. Why do we say the here? Because United States, that tells you a little bit about the country, right? What is the country? The country is basically one large country that's made up, right, of states that united together to become a country, right? So that's an extra explanation that I usually give to my students to help them remember if they need to say the or not, right? And if you notice, most of the countries are going to be like that, right? So for example, the Arab Republic of Egypt, right? It's, if you think about the name, Arab Republic of Egypt. So it's describing that it's a republic, right? It's not, what's the type of country? It's a republic. It's an Arab Republic, right? Of whatever. But if I just say Egypt without the full name of the country, if I just say I don't say I am from the Egypt, right? I say I am from Egypt, because just the word Egypt by itself is not describing anything. But if I say the full name of the country, then I would say I am from the Arab Republic of Egypt, right? So I hope that is clear for you guys, because I don't really want to go through all of this here in the text, right? But I hope that the explanation is pretty clear. The Dominican Republic, yes. The United Kingdom, but only Britain. Yes, that's it. Or Great Britain, without also anything. Now, of course, there are exceptions, right? There are some exceptions. So, for example, the Netherlands, right? It's very common to say the Netherlands. The Netherlands is just one name, really, that doesn't also explain everything. So, Netherlands is the other name for Holland, right? It's what some people also call Holland. But we always say the, right? The Bahamas, right? We always say the Bahamas. Things. So there are some exceptions, but they're not too much, right? They're not a lot. The exceptions for country names. I am from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yes, Arich, that is correct. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that's it. The West Indies. Yeah, very good, Manel. Yeah, that's exactly correct. All right, carrying on. Use number 23. We use the with the names of oceans, right? So the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean. We use it with names of seas, the Red Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, the Black Sea, the Dead Sea, whatever it is. We also use it with coasts, right? So I think I did this word with you guys in one of my early vocabulary lessons. So yeah, the West Coast, the East Coast, the blah 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 coast. It doesn't matter. If it's a coast, you say the. We also use it for names of rivers. So the Nile, the Mississippi, the Yangtze, the whatever it is. Most rivers we say the. We also use it for swamps. We use it for a ton of stuff, right? So it's a huge list. You guys can go through the list, right? But that's basically a lot of things that we use the for, right? And please notice mountain chains, because I think somebody here said, and I corrected it, right? You said I can't remember what the sentence was, but it was somebody talking about the Himalayas, right? And I said because it's a chain. Now, what does that mean? It's not just a single mountain, right? It's a chain of mountains. So we say the Himalayas, right? The Alps, the Andes, the Rocky Mountains, right? If it's a group or a chain, we say a chain of mountains. Then we what's it called? We say the, right? If it's a single mountain, then we don't, right? So for example, if it's a single mountain, like in Japan, we say Mount Fuji, right? Because Mount Fuji is one mountain, and it's called Fuji, right? It's not a group or a chain of mountains. So somebody's asking about this word. And by the way, you guys know that there's a define function in Google Docs, right? You just right-click and click define, right? And you'll find a lot of meaning of words. Basically, this just means a group of islands, right? So yeah, group of islands. All right, right. So it's a long list. You guys can look through it, right? But it's pretty straightforward, right? So it's a very simple, straightforward list of what names do we use the with, right? So you guys can check out the list. Use number 24. We do not, right? We do not use an article with individual lakes, right? So if it's a single lake, we do not use an article. So we say things like Lake Supreme, Lake blah blah blah, whatever, lake something, right? It's not the lake blah blah blah, right? Individual islands, we also don't use it with that. So for example, what's a famous island? I can't think of one off the top of my head, but individual islands we don't, right? Beaches, we don't use articles with the names of beaches. We don't use articles with the names of waterfalls. Individual mountains, right? So like I said, except this one, we say the Matterhorn. But like I said, Mount Fuji, for example, right? We don't say any article with single mountains. Canyons, except the Grand Canyon. People's first names, streets, except the High Street. Public squares, hospitals, right? And again, it's a long list, right? So you guys can take a look. You guys can take a look at it. This one is interesting. It says here, however, there are additional exceptions to some of the above categories. For example, the is often used in this pattern, right? When you say the something of something, right? So the University of Colorado, right? because usually we don't use the in front of university names, right? But there are some exceptions when you use this pattern, right? So the something of something, right? So the University of Colorado, the Temple of Ranakpur, the Cathedral of Siena. The Amazon rainforest. Yep, that's correct, Richard. Jundi, hi Jundi, welcome to the class. I didn't see you there. Yes, Jundi, I'll put the link for you right now. There you go. Right, you can download it now. And you guys will notice there's a link here to some article flashcards. That oh, they took it off. Oh, I'm so disappointed. Well, too bad. All right, let's carry on. Use number 25. Time expressions can be especially confusing. The is used in some time expressions such as, right? In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, right? So this is common, and I think you guys know this. During the night, during the day. The day before yesterday, the day after tomorrow, right? The fall, the summer. So for example, we'll meet in the afternoon, right? I'll meet you in the afternoon today, right? Or I'll meet you in the afternoon tomorrow, or whatever it is that you want to say, right? There was a small earthquake during the night yesterday. However, in other time expressions, we don't use an article, right? So for example, at, right? We don't say at the night. It's just at night, right? At noon, at midnight, right? All day, all night, all month, every month, every year, right? Last night, last Friday, yesterday, tomorrow. For example, did you sleep well last night? We don't say the last night, right? So, and I think you guys know this, like from the way that you guys type and talk in the chat. I don't think this is really new information for you guys. But the rule is there, so you guys can check it out if you need to. And I think that's it, pretty much. Right? That's it. We are done. So it really depends on how comfortable you are, right? You guys should be okay with the first two lessons, right? So a and an and the, that should be pretty straightforward for you guys. And I would say at least 50% of the information in today's class should be also easy if you are at this level. If it's a little bit difficult for you, that's okay. Don't worry about it, right? Just focus on the things that you are okay with here, right? And slowly start to incorporate more things. Now, I promised you guys that I will Alessandra saying the people, for example, the people, yeah, you can sometimes. For example, we would say the people of, right? The people, remember the of, right? So the people of Malaysia, for example, or the people of Samaria, the people of whatever you want to say. Yeah, that works. Boom, 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 boom. It gets easy with practice. It definitely does, Arij. I 100% agree with that. Okay, now let me share something that you guys will love because it is awesome. All right, so here we go. I'm going to share with you my file that that has everything, right? This is everything. So so I'm going to put it in the chat for you guys, and yeah, please try to download it. Now, why is this file awesome? Because basically, right, these are exercises, right, for everything that I've taught about articles in those. I think I should call it a series, my article series, the three-part series, three-part special series on articles. And so anyway, this document, right? This document has everything that I've talked in my article three-part series. That's what I'm calling it. So you guys can practice whatever you want, right? So you can open up the article lessons that I shared with you. If you don't have the lessons from the previous weeks, that doesn't matter. Just click on any of these links here. It will take you to the website where I got this from, right? So you can actually find this is exactly the same lesson, right? And all the exercises for that lesson will be here. This is the second lesson that we talked about, a, and the, right? And there's going to be some exercises also. And here it is basically, right? So if you click up there on tutorial, This is everything that I did with you guys, right? So we went through all of these uses together, right, over the last 3 lessons. And these are exercises for each of these uses specifically, right? So that's it. This is the complete article package that I usually teach to my students. And yeah, there isn't anything really that's that I teach that's outside of these documents, right? These are all the documents that I always use when I'm talking about or teaching articles to anyone. Makawi says count. Oh yeah, I know, man. I say right like at least 50 times in 1 hour, right? I know. I know that I say it, but I still can't stop it, right? Like I know that this is something that I say. I just can't. I can't stop it for some reason. It says you need the access. Why do you guys need access? You shouldn't. You shouldn't need access for this. Why? Oh, that's why. Okay. I get it. All right, let me fix that for you guys. All right, there you go. So try it again. Same link. I don't need to send you a new one, right? Same one. I changed the permission. Yeah, sorry, I forgot this one was on my old sharing permissions. Everybody's okay? I think everyone's fine. Yep. All right, there you go. I see you guys starting to come in. Oh, you guys are welcome. No problem, right? You're welcome. Absolutely no problem. So yeah, so this is everything that I ever use to teach articles, right? So all the things have links. All the exercises have links. Before I let you go, though, let's do one together, right? So I'll do one exercise with you guys together, and this time I will do it with you, right? So I'm not going to disappear and leave you alone for a few minutes to come back. I'll actually do it with you guys. A lot of you are impressed with the document. Great. I'm happy. That's good. Yeah, it's a very comprehensive document, right? It has everything that you need to know about articles, and I've been using it for a long time, to be honest, and it's still relevant and it works amazing until today, right? So yeah, boom boom boom. So let's do this exercise. And by the way, you guys have all these exercises, right? So all the exercises that are linked are basically these exercises, right? So let's do this one together. Let's do it together. Boom boom. How do I make this larger? There we go. Boom. All right, so by the way, this is exercise 23 from the page, and exercise 23 basically it's a general exercise. So it's not focusing on just a or an in a specific use. It's all of the uses that we've talked about, right? Or at least most of them, right? The last exercises are comprehensive exercises that talk about all the different uses. So let's go ahead, right? So let's see. Dear Judy, sorry that I didn't email you earlier to tell you about. Now, what do you guys think we should say here, right? Should I say the trip, or a trip, or just trip, or an trip? What's the correct answer? There we go. Manal says that we have to say, ooh. All of you are saying, see, these are the moments that we teachers enjoy, right? When we ask you a question after we've explained something, and then everybody just nails it. Yes, that means I did my job. All right, so it's the. Yes, that's the correct answer. Very well done, you guys, right? So sorry that I didn't email you earlier to tell you about the trip, right? So obviously the person that I'm talking to, right, they know the trip that I'm talking about, right? Because you're telling them, hey, I'm sorry that I didn't tell you about the trip, right? Because probably this person is, I don't know, maybe angry or disappointed, or they're surprised that, hey, what, you're on a trip? I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me, right? So you're calling to apologize about that, right? So it makes sense that they know the trip that you're talking about, right? So very well done, you guys, right? Sorry that I didn't email you earlier to tell you about the trip, but I've had, and a lot of you are saying, a bunch of things to do since we got back. Yeah, very good, right? A bunch of things, right? So a bunch, right? A bunch of things to do since we got back, right? So yeah, in general, we had a fantastic time. Remember, when you're describing, right? When you're describing something, we use the indefinite article. So we had a fantastic time in. Now, what did we say about countries today? What did we say about countries today? A trip in, what do we say? What do we say? Oh, Manel. Okay. And Judith. Yes, this is nothing now, right? Remember, South Africa, right? South Africa is not really describing the country. It's just describing where it is on the map. That's why we call it South Africa, right? So it's like North America and South America. Same thing, really, right? We don't say the North America or the South America. We just say South America, right? So, yeah. Although this is... now what do we say? Although this is... Victor says the first... Judith, Jundi, Dalia, Manel, Gupta, Rosa, Ibrahim, Bisma, Jizm. I am so proud of you guys. You guys, you're gonna make me cry. You're doing so well that I can't take it. Yeah, you guys are doing great, right? So although this is the first time that I've ever traveled. So yes, remember when we said ranking or ordering, right? Ranking or ordering, we always say the. Very good. So although this is the first time that I've ever traveled to a foreign country, right? You're talking here in general, right? You're not talking now specifically about South Africa. You're saying in general, I've never been to a foreign country before, right? So you're saying this is the first time I ever traveled anywhere, right? In general. So that's why we say a foreign country. I feel confident saying that it's one of. Aha, now what do we say? It is one of. All right, Hamuz is in with the answer. Rose is in with the answer. Jizm, Manal, Bisma, Dalia, Garima, Lisha, you guys, I can't keep up. You're typing too fast, but all of you are typing correctly. Yes, right? It's one of the most beautiful places on the earth, right? So superlatives, right? We always say the with superlatives. Most beautiful, right? That's our superlative right there. Places on, what do we say for planet? Places on. Hassanaya. Oh, hello, Hassanaya. I didn't see you in the chat there earlier. Yes, we say the planet, right? So remember from last week? Yes, last week's class, what did we say about things like the world, the sun, the moon, the planet, the universe, right? Things like that, right? And specifically also because you're not talking about any planet, right? It's very clear you're talking about Earth, right? And everybody knows this planet, right? We are all on it. So it makes sense to say the planet. All right, carrying on. So this was the first part of our story. We're continuing now. We began, what do we say? We began, Manel says, we began the trip, when you said you never heard someone say what? Oh, I missed it. You guys are typing a lot. Ooh, some of you made a mistake here. Why? All right, let's think, right? Always think, right? So I like people to understand why, right? So hopefully you don't forget later. Now, what trip are we talking about? Is it the same trip that's in the beginning that we talked about? If it is, then why are you saying we don't need to say right? Because if I say I am communicating, right, to the person that I'm talking to. I'm communicating what? If I say a trip now, that means this is another trip. This is a new trip that you don't know about, right? That's why we say a and an are the indefinite articles, because they don't define the noun. What does that mean? That means the listener doesn't know this noun, right? It's a new noun for them. So we began the trip, which is the same trip that I started talking about earlier in the story, right? So we began the trip in Yes, it's the same trip, you guys. We're still talking about the same trip. Now he's just starting to describe it a little more, right? So we began the trip in, I would say, no article, Cape Town, right? So Cape Town. Most city names, right, don't use articles. So we began the trip in Cape Town, as you suggested. It's such. Now, what are we doing here? I'm describing the city, right? So remember, we talked about this before. When you're describing a noun, usually we say a, right? Or an, of course. But in this case, we're saying a. Why? Because the first word after the article is beautiful. And beautiful, the first sound that you hear is what? Beautiful, beauty, right? It's a B, right? Which is a consonant sound, right? So that's why we say a instead of an. So it's such a beautiful city. And I'm so glad you recommended that we take. Now, this part we can talk about a little bit, right? And I'm so glad that you recommended that we take. Now, the answer here, honestly, I think it depends, and I'll tell you what my theory or what my point of view is, right? Most people would say the, right? So you would say the, right? And I'm so glad you recommended that we take the cable car, right? Now here it makes sense because you're telling her, right? The person that you're talking to, she told you about the cable car to go up, right? So you're talking to the same person that told you about the cable cars, which means they know the cable cars, right? So you might say, yes, I'm so glad you recommended that we take the cable car up, right? That makes sense. But imagine that you're talking about it in general. You're talking about the concept of instead of walking, just take a cable car, any cable car, but just instead of walking, right? Then I would say right? So is not wrong really, depending on just which meaning you're focusing on when you're talking, but I would say the here, right? So the. I would say a cable car as well. That's what I'm saying, Manel, right? I would accept both answers as long as the student can explain to me why both answers work, right? What are the different scenarios or what are the different situations? Then that's fine. Yeah, I'll accept both really, right? So the or both of them I think really work for this specific area here in the exercise. All right, let's carry on, right? So I'm so glad you recommended that we take the cable car up Table Mountain. Now, is this one mountain or is this a chain, right? Is it a chain of mountains? It's one, right? Because it's singular, right? The word mountain is singular, right? So take a cable car up, and I would say nothing, right? So Table Mountain. No, guys, you're mixing it up. You're mixing it up. Remember what I said. I said if it's a chain of mountains, then we say the, right? Like the Himalayas, the Alps, right? Alps, right? Chain of mountains, not just one mountain. The Rocky Mountains, the Andes, right? So, but if it's just one mountain, if it's only one mountain, then we don't use, right? We don't use like Mount Fuji in Japan, right? We just say Mount Fuji, right? We don't say the Mount Fuji, right? So yeah, please don't forget that, right? And you have the documents and you can always just go back and revise. And the more you practice, articles is really just all about practice, right? The more you do it, you get better, just like the rest of the language. All right. While we were taking in, now what do we say? I would say while we were taking in, I would say yeah, very good. I would say the spectacular views. Why? Because I'm being specific now. I'm telling you exactly where I am, and I'm talking to a person who even knows the place. She recommended for us to go there. So I'm telling her we were taking in not any spectacular views, the spectacular views from this place that I just told you about, right? And in this case, which she also knows about, right? So I would say the spectacular views. We met. Now let's look, right? Now we're going to start focusing again on what's going on here, right? So now he's telling her, I would say, now this is new information, right? We met a man, right? Yeah, very good. Most of you guys said that, right? We met a man who runs, again, new information. So a lodge, and I said in both cases because why? Because the first sound after the article is a consonant sound, right? So we met a man who runs a lodge just outside. What did we say for parks? Do you guys remember for parks? What did we say? For parks, do we use an article or do we not use an article? We don't use an article, right? So just outside Kalahari National Park, right? Parks. No, parks, guys. Remember, parks, right? We don't say articles in names of parks. So, for example, here in Vancouver, one of the most famous parks that exists here is something called Stanley Park, right? So you would say, I'm going to Stanley Park. You don't say the, right? So I'm going to Stanley Park, right? So yeah, very good. Julian, Alessandra, and Manal got that one. Very good. Right? So parks, just remember, parks, we usually don't say articles with parks. He invited us to stay in. Oh, okay, now what do I say? So in the sentence before this, right, I introduced a few things to the person that I'm talking to, right? I told her about a man, and I told her about a lodge. And yeah, there you go. All of you are typing in the correct answer, right? So we say he invited us to stay in the lodge. Why? Because it's the same lodge. Now, remember, only the very first time that I introduce a noun, we use the indefinite articles, right? A or an. After you do that first time, right? That's it. You will never use it again. You will always say the after that because that's what it means. It means this is the same thing that you know. This is the same noun that I told you about before, right? Yes, I already introduced it, just like Summer is saying. Very good. All right, so he invited us to stay in the lodge for free. So we rented, right? We rented, again, this I'm adding more new information, right? So we rented a car and slowly, yeah, a car, you guys, yes, because it's new information. I mean, I'm still introducing new stuff here, right? So we rented a car and slowly drove up. Yeah, there you go. Very good. Very good. You guys are answering. Yeah, there you go. Very nice. The West Coast, right? Remember, coast, we said we use the article the or the definite article with coasts, right? So the West Coast, the blah, blah, whatever coast that you want to say, right? So yeah, slowly drove up the West Coast to yes, now I would say to the park. Yes, very good. To the park. Very good, right? Which park? The park that I just told you about. Please don't get confused with this here and this. Here, I'm just talking about the word park, right? Here, it's the name of the park, right? We don't say articles with the names of the park, right? But you can say, I'm going to the park. Where are you right now? I'm at the park, right? That's fine. But if you're talking about the name of the park, right, then that's when we don't use articles, right? So don't confuse these two things, right? The name of the park is different than just saying I'm in this area, I'm in this location, right? It's different. I hope that that's clear, right? I hope you guys don't get tricked by this one, right? So here there's no name. I'm not telling you about the name of the park. I'm just telling you I'm at the park, right? Which one? Kalahari National Park. Right? So the name is different than just saying the word the park. And spent our time, where are we? Car slowly drove up the West Coast to the park and spent our time exploring. What do we say for deserts? I didn't tell you about this because it was in the long list of words that I told you guys you can read on your own. But for deserts, we usually say, yes, we say the. Very good. That's exactly right, you guys. Most deserts in the world, we say the, right? So the Nevada desert, the Sahara desert, the whatever desert, right? So we always say the, usually for deserts. So where are we? Spent our time exploring the Kalahari Desert. What an adventure. That's it, right? What an adventure. Adventure. Adventure is countable. It's singular in this case. So that means you are going to use a or an. So at the end, what do we have to decide? What's the sound? First sound that you hear. I don't care about the letter. I care about the sound of the letter, right? First sound that you hear is a vowel sound. Adventure. Yes, it is. And that's why we said an, right? What an adventure. All right, now let's see if I answered everything correctly, because if I didn't, that would not look very good, would it? So let's check. Yeah, got it. All right, so that's it, you guys, right? I hope that you followed along and you understood the points that I tried to bring across today, and that you guys had fun, right? So thank you for coming. I had a lot of fun, really. And it was cool, right? So that's the end of my articles explanation, right? I will not explain articles anymore. You have my extensive knowledge on articles right now, right? And the article, the document, right, that I shared with you today, that basically links to everything that I've talked about articles before, right? So even if you go back and watch my other videos, you will still have the documents that I've used in all of them, right? So you guys can use that, and you can also do the rest of the exercises on the website, right? So same thing, everything is in the documents, right? If you just click on the exercise that you want, right? So today I think we did exercise 23, which is this one, right? So advanced articles in context. So you guys did pretty well. You guys answered advanced articles in context. And all of you answered really nicely. So very well done. A virtual high five to everybody. Oh yeah. Okay, Julian, I shall consider that. Yes, I'll try to put together a good lesson for some, any, and those articles, and we will talk about them. All right, Summer is excited because she knows that movie quote of the week is coming up, and she's getting her lightning typing fingers ready. Julian is gonna try to snatch the title today, but let's see let's see who does. All right, so let me just close all the stuff that we don't need anymore. Badoom and boom. We don't need that. Don't need this. I think that's pretty much everything. High five, Manal. All right, she will lose because of. Oh, Julian is saying, Summer is going to lose because he's using a new tablet with amazing speeds. The lengths that you go to, Julian, to beat Summer. All right, let's do this. So please remember, right before I wrap up, I'll do my spiel again. Please remember, guys, to subscribe to us on Smrt English, right? If you haven't, or if you have, then tell your friends, tell the people that you think are cool and that deserve and need to be part of this this awesome tribe that we have here. We broke 100,000 subscribers, so yeah, thanks to you guys. Again, you guys are fantastic. We couldn't have done it without you, right? So thank you so much, really. We appreciate it like we can't tell you, right? I said right again. See, now I'm focusing on it, but I'm still saying it. I can't stop. So please subscribe to us, right, on Smrt English. And if you scroll down, all the way down, you'll see my face. You also see Sean's face. Look at Sean's face, but don't touch or do anything. You can look, but don't touch. Look at my face and click my face, right? So click my face, and it will take you to my Smrt English with Karim page, right? So a bit lighter stuff than I do on the Smrt channel. Videos are much shorter, usually a minute, 2 minutes, stuff like that. So please come join me also over there. I would appreciate it if you subscribe or hit the bell button for notifications. My personal channel, which is not English related or related to Smrt, really, it's my own personal channel. It's called Food AF. I try to cook and make basically cooking videos, right? So I have fun when I have the time, which I don't have these days because my last video was a month ago, as you can see, which is very sad, actually. I'm very annoyed. I still cook, I just don't have time to edit and to film and to do everything. So yeah, I would enjoy it. I'd appreciate it if you guys can subscribe to me over there too and hit the bell button. That would be cool. Facebook, don't forget the Facebooks. We are also there, right? So the group on Facebook is called Learn English, right? So Learn English on Facebook with Smrt, SMRT, of course. It's a really nice group. Everybody in the group is very, very nice. It's through membership, right? So we make sure that everybody in the group is cool. And we kick out those who are not. So it's a nice group. People in the group like to help each other, answer each other's questions and things like that. And we do also when we have time. Discord, please don't forget this. So this is the latest thing that the guys at Smrt have been working on, which is really, really cool. I actually really like this a lot. Think of it as our personal community, right? So I mean you guys too, right? So us, it's our community. So we can go there, we can chat, same thing, ask questions. What's cool about it is we have audio chat rooms, right? So you can, you and a buddy, right? You and the people, the awesome people that attend the classes here at Smrt, you guys can hook up on the chat and talk with each other using your voice, right? And you can hear each other talk and stuff like that. You can check out the general chat where we talk about general stuff. We post things that are happening. I have a specific chat for myself. Kent has a specific chat for himself. And yeah, everybody's nice. As you can see, some of you are already in there and you're saying things. So so please come join us on the Discord. I'll put the link for that again, just in case if you don't have it. So this is the link for the Discord. I'll put that for you in the chat. All right, and that's pretty much it, really. So let's finish. All right, let's finish, you guys. Okay, so where is it? There's the quote. All right, so I'm going to do the movie quote. It's from, I didn't tell you what movie the last movie quote was from. The movie is called Clerks, by the way. And I love this movie, right? It's one of my favorite things to watch because of the director, basically, right? So the director is one of my favorite directors. Is a guy called Kevin Smith. There he is, right? Kevin Smith, that's the director. And this was his very first movie, right? So, which is actually pretty interesting because he sold everything that he owns, including his car, and he maxed out most of his credit cards just to make this movie, right? And he's become so famous after that, right? So it was his first movie. It was a great success. It was a cult hit, and now Kevin Smith is a very famous director in Hollywood, and he's probably done a lot more movies that you guys might know, right? But this was last week's movie, right? So Clerks, very funny movie, very cool, one of my favorites. So let's do this week's movie quote. All right, so just like last week, Leisha's asking when is the next class is going to be. My classes are at the same time every week, Leisha, right? So every Wednesday, right? Every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Vancouver time, right? So every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Vancouver time, I am here, right? So these are usually when my classes are. And of course, you can always watch the classes later after they are done. All right, so let's do the movie quote. Let me, first of all, I'm going to take this out so you guys don't see the quote while I am saying it, and then I'll put it back on the screen for a few seconds before I shut down, right? But I'm not going to let you see the quote anymore when I say it. And where is let's go big. Let's go big. There we go. Okay. Let me just let you just get the quote so I can see it. And let me just make it a little bit larger. Also, so you guys can see it later. Let's make it 24 so it's nice and big. Okay. All right, so actually I'm not going to tell you what the situation is because this quote is easy. Like, you guys should be able to guess this just when you hear the voice in the beginning, right? So I'll do that. and then you guys tell me what you think, right? So here it is. All right, are you ready? Here's the movie quote for this week. Remember, if you know the answer, right? If you figure out what's the movie, don't tell me in the chat. I will ignore your answer, and I will pretend that I did not see it, and I will not count it for next week's movie quote, right? So you have to wait until the video is done. So after I say goodbye, 1 minute, I'll close the video, and then you guys can answer what you think the movie is in the comment section below the video, right? So please don't tell me in the chat. I will not look at your answer, right? So here we go. All right, let me just set this up. All right, I hope I get the voice correctly because my throat is not so good today. I think I'm getting a little sick. But here we go.
We wants it. We needs it. Must have the precious. Sneaky little hobbitses. They stole it from us. Wicked, tricksy, false.
That's it. All right, so that was the movie quote of the week, and I'll put it up on the screen just for a short time so you guys can see what is going on. So there it is, right? This is the movie quote that I just said, and like I said, if you know what the movie is, please don't tell me now. Make sure that you put it in the comment section below after I am done with the video. And that's pretty much it. It's been 2 hours. It took a long time today. I'm sorry for that, but I just wanted to make sure that the article lesson was complete, right? So let me go big again, and yeah. So thank you so much, as usual, you guys, for coming to my classes every week. I can never thank you enough. It still blows my mind that there are people all over the world that sit and come and listen to stuff that I have to say. So thank you. I really appreciate my time with you every Wednesday. You guys make my Wednesdays awesome, and you make my Wednesdays fun. I look forward to Wednesdays now. So thank you. You guys are welcome. You guys are welcome. No need to thank me. I enjoyed it, right? So thank you. Thank you very much. And that's it. So I think I'm gonna wrap up now and let you guys leave. So until I see you guys next Wednesday, 3 p.m. Vancouver time, good morning, good evening, and good night.